Hey everybody, it's Zach. Welcome back to the Heroverse. And guys, I just got done with All American Homecoming Season 2, Episode 11, called I Can Tell. I think that's the name of today's episode, if I'm correct. Yeah, I Can Tell. Guys, as we all know, this was the episode where we kind of, thought from the sneak peek for this week's episode that it got out that Damon and Simone shared their kiss together. Of course, after the events of last week's episode, but that actually ends up not being the case, which I'll get into that in a little bit. But that's what really what's going on around the campus at this time. On top of it is midterms right now, looming over Brixton right now. And we have, of course, Damon not being able to focus on his midterms because of the events of last week's episode with him sharing the kiss with Simone. On top of Simone having to do her paper that she set out. The paper that she set out to do was on, I guess, on I think it was world. It was like something. I don't know if it was like world hunger or something like that. But she made the paper about that, and the teacher's like, "I want something that's personal to you. That's something that you've went through." And, she has to redo the paper on top of, her kind of trying to avoid having the conversation with Damon on what that kiss meant. Where, Damon thinks that kiss meant, like, oh my God, like, the feelings are still there between me and Simone. And I thought, we like, our moment has passed. And, you know what I mean? This is kind of confirming to him that you're like, oh my God, like, this, like, maybe our time hasn't passed. Maybe, like, this is our, like, this is the moment where, like, we could be together, like, you know what I mean? I thought this was, like, gone, but maybe, we still have the connection there, and we still have feelings for each other, maybe we should try to give this a shot. And this, for Damon, this is kind of, like, a moment where, like, he realizes in a way that he feels like Simone is the one, but also, like, he's not quite sure why he's having trouble, why he had trouble, like, failing or like his paper or test. I can't remember what it was. I think it was a test he failed, and he's not quite sure why, because he tells everybody, like, I aced my my studying, because Cam has a conversation with them and he's like, I failed my my tests, like, and Cam's like, well, you studied, so like how did you fail? He's like, I don't know, like, I was, because Cam's like, you were showing off in the dorm room, like, how did you fail? I was like, exactly, like, I don't know how, I don't know what's going on. But in reality, he knows what's going on. He thinks that he's dealing with, not having, like, about Simone, like, not, like, giving him the conversation of, like, what did that kiss mean? So, like, he has that going on in his brain right now, on top of trying to pass, the test. On top of him, he just buried his father. So he's kind of like, he just, he's going through so much right now. He's like, I don't know what the kiss meant with Simone and where that goes with us, whether we're just going to be friends or are we going to be in a relationship? Like, is there still feelings between us? Like, he's still going through that. On top of him, like I said, the passing of his father. On top of, just, and him not realizing, like, why he failed the test. So, like, he's just going through so many things right now. So it's just very interesting just to see the dynamic of, what this episode did. On top of, like I said, it going around the school is that they think that, it broke on that, it broke out on the Brixton app, that, like, that social media app that lets everybody know what's going on about Brixton, about two student athletes, about a student athlete sneaking out of another student athlete's dorm late at night, and they kind of assume right away, like, okay, that was about us, and they're keeping it, Damon's keeping it from JR, Damon's keeping it from Cam. And, Cam heard it from Keisha, but we didn't see Keisha in this episode. Along with, Simone outright just tells, Nate that it was about me and Damon. And, of course, Nate finds it interesting. Oh, like, you guys had a moment, like, oh, like, what does this mean? It kind of almost looked like, she, like, Nate was happy for Simone. But, I was really disappointed about Nate and JR in this episode, which I'll get to that a little bit later. But, in a way, like, Simone can't think about that right now because Simone's a little worried about, like, like, Simone doesn't really know, like, does she want to take a chance, with Damon, but also hurt Lando and hurt Simone, and, you know what I mean, on top of, she's trying to figure out what her paper is going to be about, and she feels like, she's just overwhelmed with, again, with midterms and stuff in the paper, and, it's crazy because while all that's going on, we have, Nate still trying to run, trying to do campaigning to become, student president, whatever, president of Brixton. I don't even know really what it is. But, Nate's still campaigning right now, and then, ends up running into a new character, which I think the new character's name is, Walinda. and Melinda's campaigning as well, and they're and kind of they both, I guess, signed up to have the what is it? I forget what the name of the room is. I guess the kind of the lounge area. They kind of I guess both reserved the lounge area for I guess their campaigning. And Simone kind of popped up out of nowhere and said, what, maybe you should go on one side and campaign, and Nate, you go on this side and campaign. And Nate's like, why would you do that? Why would you why don't you have my back on that? You know what I mean? And help me out. And of course, Simone's like, this helps you out, Nate. You need people to want to vote for you, and you can go talk to Melinda's classmates that are possible candidates that are gonna vote for her or whatever, or students that are gonna vote for her, or Melinda, not Melinda. So and then Nate's like, that's actually a good idea, and then Simone's like, yeah, I know, what I mean, you're not just talking to the students, what I mean, you're not just giving the attention of about your message to people there, but you can also talk to Melinda's classmates as well. You know what I mean? You can actually get more people wanting to vote for you. So while that's going on and they're doing that, we have back with actually, let's go over to we're gonna go over to Nate, or we're gonna go over to JR and Cam and what's going on with that situation. Cam, I guess his pledges, the line, I guess, no one's been showing up for practice, and pretty much Cam is wondering, this is a brotherhood. I thought that's what KEK was about, but my the other pledges aren't telling me why they aren't showing up to practice, and pretty much and why they're screwing everything up, what I mean, and just keeping him in the dark. And it's because of that one other KEK dude, I guess he's second line to JR, because JR's first line, the one that had it out for Cam, or that's been having it out for Cam, and pretty much has made Cam's life a living hell, just because he went through it hard as a pledge too. And same with JR had to put the other dude in his place, saying just because we went through it hard, when we were pledges, doesn't mean we have to treat them with disrespect and make it hard for them to become KEK brothers. And pretty much that one dude didn't like it, and pretty much ends up making all the other pledges, and he's kind of doing an underground, line, and teaching him the so-called his version of the right way to become a KEK, going through and treating the other pledges like crap again behind JR's back, and pretty much also behind Cam's back, trying to make Cam look bad, because he thinks that JR wants to be soft with Cam. And he was like, I'm going to teach these other pledges the right way to do it, because he thinks that JR has gone soft on and looking out for Cam. So pretty much JR ends up kicking out the other dude, the other KEK brother, and pretty much kicks him out of the second line. And already right away, I think there's going to be that one dude is going to have it out for JR because he got kicked out. So that should be very interesting going forward. But also, Damon is trying to figure out what's going on, why he didn't pass the test. Is it because of my father? Is it because of me and Simone, kind of me trying to figure out what that kiss was with me and Simone, or what's going on? Or is it just me, maybe I didn't do enough studying? And he kind of comes, I guess, he kind of had a realization on helping Nate do math onto seeing where Nate is in the running and the polls, and Nate is second in the polls, and and kind of Nate realized that maybe I shouldn't drop out, because Nate was getting ready to drop out because Nico was having chicken and waffles out in the quad. I think that's what it was, if I'm correct. He was having free food. I think that's what he was giving everybody, and right away, Melinda and Nate were like, I guess that's it, because we can't win if Nico's doing free food, and I mean, it's kind of like a lost cause, because if he's giving out free food and doing all these things that we can't do because he has all the connections, what's the point? But after Damon kind of realized oh my god, I am hands on, I mean, it was never the fact of I figured out that I was I'm a hands on person. That's why I failed my test. But also, I think the fact that I need to stop overthinking, with me and Simone, it's I know Simone is the one. I know that wasn't just, a comfort kiss that we had. I know that we still have a connection, and I'm going to tell her, I want to be with her, that she's the one. And Nate's like, whoa, here, I think you're overthinking things. That might not be what Simone meant by that kiss. And pretty much, before she could really say, before Nate could really say all that, that's when, Damon goes off to tell, Simone how he feels. And right away, Nate calls or texts JR and pretty much says to JR, like, look, we can't have, we really, if we really care about Damon and Simone and care about, this friend group and their friendship, we need to make sure that they don't get together, because it could ruin the friend group, and it could torpedo the friend group, and not just the friend group, but their friendship. And right away, I was really disappointed in JR and Nate, because I was like, you guys are getting involved in something you guys shouldn't really be getting involved in. This is coming from your guys' fears about where their relationship could go, and you got and the fear, and you guys' fear is based on their relationship failing and not succeeding. And even if it does fail, when it gets to that point, even if it does, they know the risks on if this relationship doesn't work out. Like, Damon knows the risk, Simone knows the risk of their relationship not working out, and knows the risk of, okay, like, can we save our friendship, like, after our breakup, like, can we do that? They know the risks. If anything, love is a gamble, and it's worth, betting everything on, because again, like, life on this earth is short, and if you have feelings for somebody, you just gotta say it, you gotta tell them. You know what I mean? And usually, the best relationships start out as best friendships, like as friendships. So in reality, it's like, they shouldn't be getting involved. And it reminded me a lot of Jordan, that Jordan always gets involved in people's shit when he shouldn't. And I'm like, you guys really took a book out of, you really guys took a page out of Jordan's book, because, you guys are getting involved in something you shouldn't be getting involved in, when that could blow up in your face, that you're kind of, Nate ends up talking to Simone saying, like, it's not the best idea to, take advantage of Damon right now after, you kissed him, but he's also going through, he's grieving over his father, whether he wants to admit it or not. And you know what I mean? And he's, he's dealing with everything to go with midterms. And of course, JR says to Damon, like, you don't want there to be a chance where Simone doesn't feel the same way, and you end up losing her, like losing a great friendship. Like, do you want to lose that? And pretty much, when they end up getting together and finding one another, when they both want to get air after those conversations that they had, that Damon had with JR and Simone had with Nate, they end up meeting each other. I think it was at the tennis courts, and pretty much, Simone's like, I think we should just be, friends, and we shouldn't and we shouldn't make anything of that kiss. Like, it, you know what I mean? It just, I don't regret it, but at the same time, it's like, I think we should just be friends. And you know what I mean? It's all because they were meddling. When, it's like, they ruined the opportunity. Things could have been their moment. That could have been, like, it's all based on fear about their relationship not working and it torpedoing, like, the friend group. It's based on their fears off of everybody losing family dinner with Amara. It's based on their fears of, like, oh my god, we all know how it was when we all lost family dinner, and I don't want all of us, them to go out and it torpedoes the friend group. Like, we won't survive if it does that. That's their fears, and they're putting it on They're putting it on Damon. Yeah, they're putting on Damon and Simone, Nate and JR. And that really upsets me, because I was like, it made me really upset. I was like, that's something that they would never do to you guys, if, you know what I mean, if it was the other way around, they would never do that. Like, like, I don't think Simone would be doing that to Nate. I don't think Damon would be doing it to JR. So that really upsets me. From them being their friends, they should have been supportive, not trying to stop them from getting together based on their fears of their relationship failing and ruining the friend group. So that really annoyed me. I gotta say, that really disappointed me. But also, I wanted to go talk about Amara and Marcus in this episode, because in this episode, Amara is pretty much trying to figure out with her one friend on who she should take a chance on. Should she stay with Zeke, or should she be with the person she's always wanted to be with, which was Marcus? And she ends up making like a pros and cons list, like a poll, mainly a pros and cons list with her friend, and writing out like how she feels about one another and stuff like that. But when it comes to paper, Zeke seems like a good candidate for her to date. But when it came to Marcus, she was just saying like, oh my god, Marcus, like, what I mean, that we have so much history, and you know what I mean, and he makes me feel all these types of ways. And it's like instantly her friend knew, like, just, usually the hard choices are the choices that are the right choices. And I agree. I always wanted, Marcus and Amara to get together. I always wanted that, and I'm so glad that, Amara is willing to give it a chance with Marcus, because they end up, having a moment together where, Amara, I thought instantly was going to say, we missed our opportunity, because that's what she said. But of course, Marcus is like, I'm willing to bet that we didn't, and there is still something here, and I want to give it a shot. Let's do this. I'm ready. Like, let's make it happen. And that's the thing Amara wanted to hear. And Amara said, yes, I'm in. Like, let's do this. So I'm really happy that I hope their relationship works out. But I said to myself, we all know Amara. Well, actually, we all know that Keisha is going to be upset with Amara, especially after the last episode where Keisha was pretty much like lashing out at Amara, not for her sticking up for her, not for her sticking up for her, to Dr. Pace, but it was the fact of how she was feeling about her father dating Amara, or dating again after her mother's passing. So it's kind of like, she realized, giving, Amara like I'm sorry, like casserole, saying like, I'm sorry, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like, I was upset because, about like, how I feel about my father dating after, my mom's passing. But I think if anything, if he was going to date anybody else, or if he was like, I think it should be you. And pretty much saying like, you have my support, you and my dad have my support of you guys dating. And pretty much right away, it's like, I knew right away that there was going to be, there was still an issue, because prior to Keisha coming to the door, Marcus ended up kissing, Amara, telling Amara how he felt. And I knew that there was going to be an issue of like, who was she going to choose? Because we knew there that it wasn't just Zeke, that Marcus was still, Marcus was still an option. And we didn't really know where Amara's headspace was at, of who she wanted to be with, until this episode. So I think it's going to be really hard on Keisha, especially if it's going to be hard on Zeke when Zeke finds out. And I think, Keisha's going to be angry at Amara, saying, my father opened his heart to somebody else after my mom's passing. My father has opened his heart after all these years after my mom's passing, and yet you broke his heart. And I can never forgive you for that. I feel like Keisha's really going to take it hard. Even though it's not on Amara that Keisha's gonna feel that way, yeah. I mean, Keisha kind of has Keisha's kind of could be valid for her feeling that way, because it is her father. But in a way, it's like, it's harder than it seems when when you're the one that there's so much there. Relationship stuff and who you should be with is very complicated. And in a way, I feel like Zeke will get over it, but I feel like I could see Keisha holding a little bit of a grudge for a while. I just don't know what they will do with that going forward, but I'm excited to see if like how Keisha's going to react to that, and Zeke, when that news kind of breaks out about Marcus and Amara officially being together. But honestly, like I said, this was an okay episode. Also, Nate, getting Willinda to be Nate's what's the word? Nate's, what's the word when you're running for something, but you need someone to be like your I don't know. You guys could probably tell me down in the comments below, because I can't even like think, like, I guess like her like Nate's I don't even know. Like I guess it's like on the tip of my it's on the tip of my tongue of what Willinda will be. Like I want to say like marketing person for Nate, but that's the best way I could put it. Like Nate's marketing person for Nate's campaign to become student president. I really don't know what it is, or just president of Bringston. I don't know, but I think that was really cool, because, Willinda had some great ideas, and the only reason Willinda actually ended up dropping out when Nate figured out that, that was second to Nico in the polls, I know it makes sense because, Willinda had some great ideas for Nate in campaigning Nate. Campaign manager. Oh my God. See, I knew it was right there. Yeah. Willinda's going to be, Nate's campaign manager, which I think is perfect. Because, I think Nate's going to win this, and as Nate should, because Nico got to get out of here. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mess with Nico at all. So I'm excited to see where that will go. I'm excited to see if, like, will Simone and Damon end up finding out what JR and Nate will pledge to do to keep them from not dating. Like, will they find out about that conversation that Nate and JR have? But will they both find out, and will they like that they tried doing that to them? I don't know. But I'm just excited to see where things will go going forward. But I gotta say that my biggest disappointment of this episode, because like I said, there was a couple of things that annoyed me. Mainly it was the JR and Nate, them trying to stop Damon and Simone from being together. The main thing that really bothered me is that I would say, and for the most part, All-American and All-American Homecoming, when they have connective things that are crucial, and when they have their crossovers, there's major connection from one episode, and when the next episode comes on, it usually has some sort of mention of some sort of character going over. I'm really annoyed because, spoilers for yesterday's episode of All-American, but Billy died in yesterday's episode of All-American, and I find it weird that no one told Simone at any point in this episode, called her or her just figuring out via social media or news, that Billy passed. I found that very weird, especially because next week's episode is the funeral episode, and it's going to be very weird that we ended this episode where Simone not knowing about Billy and her not being there for the funeral. I find that weird, because there's no way in hell that no one would tell Simone that Billy died, because Simone is such a big part of Jordan's life that I can't imagine no one would tell Simone that happened to Billy. I can't imagine that. Regardless of how Simone treated Layla when Layla was trying to give like an olive branch and trying to save their friendship, I could have swore the way I saw this going is I thought Layla was going to call Simone at the end of this episode saying Layla was going to call Simone at the end of this episode, and Simone was going to see like the phone call from Layla and just say, Layla, what do you want? And I could have saw Layla saying like, I know you said you didn't want to talk to me. I know you said you wanted your space and all that. And I know that you said we aren't friends, but I know that you and Jordan are friends still, and you guys worked things out. I need you to, and he needs you right now. And I could have totally saw like someone saying like, why does he need me? And Layla saying, didn't you hear? Hear what? Billy passed. And then I could have just saw the episode ends, and then Simone taking her first flight back to go see Jordan and be there for Jordan. And I really thought that would have been a great olive branch, because it's like, yes, Simone wants nothing to do with Layla, but in a way they have an agreement, and the one thing that they can agree on is that they both care for Jordan. And I do think that would have been a great way for Layla to make the call to Simone saying like, Jordan needs you. I know you want nothing to do with me, but we gotta put that aside. I know we at least can both agree on something. We both want to be there for Jordan, and Jordan needs both of us right now. I would have appreciated that at the end of this episode, and for her to be there in next week's episode of All-American for Billy's funeral. But instead, next week's episode for All-American Homecoming, which again I'm going to be putting up, in my community tab, is masquerade. I think it's called a masquerade ball or masquerade dance in next week's episode. I thought to myself, you're kidding me, right? I was like, one, I don't care about next week's episode. Two, you missed an opportunity where, again, everybody should be there for Billy's funeral, especially Simone. So I don't know if these writers of All-American Homecoming and All-American, I don't know if they're two different writers or directors or whatever, or maybe it's the same people working on both. I just found it weird and odd that there was no letting Simone know at the end of this episode. Especially, it still could happen at the end or maybe the beginning of next week's episode of, I don't think at the beginning, and I don't think maybe at the end, I don't know, but by the end of next week's episode of All-American Homecoming, it's going to be too late for Simone to be there for Jordan for the funeral. it's gonna be too late. So I find that weird. I just find it super weird that they wouldn't tell her that entire time that Billy's been gone. How will she find out? I think that it would have been appropriate if she would have found out at the end of yesterday's episode from Layla, to make that olive branch and for them to agree on that they both care for Jordan, and that's how they become friends again. I thought that would have been a perfect opportunity, but I felt like they failed on that, because it's going to make no sense that it took them that long for her to find out that Billy died. It's like, what do if it is different writers from All American, do they think that like where Simone is right now, or Simone's character isn't important in Jordan's life anymore to have her know about Billy? Like, I'm confused on why there was no phone call to Simone saying that Billy passed. It would have made sense. I find that weird, especially after Simone and Jordan became friends again. They made that olive branch. They became friends again. They gave each other blessings to date whoever they wanted to date. So I find it weird that, again, I mean, and I don't think Layla's petty. I feel like Layla would have called her, or someone would have, Spencer even. So I'm a little confused. I find, I could see it happening by the end of maybe next week's episode, but by then I'll be like, the writers really messed up, because this doesn't make much sense. And also it wouldn't make much sense on the fact that if she would have heard about it, she would have been on the first flight out, and she would have been at that funeral. I will find it weird if like she doesn't go to the funeral because of the writers not thinking about that making sense. And how and who that character is, because that character Simone would have flew right out instantly and would be there for Jordan, especially in time for the funeral. So I don't know. I have a little bit of a problem about that. It kind of annoys me. I would just feel like it's too late that she would I would just feel like unrealistic if she would find out later, when I feel like, knowing who the characters are from All American, someone would have let her know about Billy. No one would have delayed letting her know. She probably would have been the next person to call after everybody knew, in that group, in the Vortex. Like, someone would have called her or texted her instantly. So I find it weird. But I'm really curious to know, guys, what do you guys think about this episode? Are you guys excited for next week's episode? Let me know your thoughts, your theories down in the comments below. Yet again, here, if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel, put those notifications, like this video. I'd love to have you guys here, a part of the family, part of the channel. All about spreading love, positivity, and motivation. Yet again, guys, we're almost to 700 subscribers. That is the goal, to get to 700 subscribers. My initial goal by the end of this year is to get to 1,000 subscribers. That's the initial goal, and I know you guys can help me get there. But yeah, guys, definitely let me know if you guys kind of, see where I'm getting at with the whole, it doesn't make sense that Simone didn't get a phone call from somebody. You know what I mean? Like, she was important to Jordan and everybody. Like, you know what I mean? And also, she knew Billy, so I find it weird that just there was no one would have called out. Again, maybe you guys know. Like, is it the same writers for both shows? You know what I mean? Like, let me know. And if it isn't, maybe that explains why, maybe, that they just feel like it's not, like, it doesn't suit the story that they're trying to tell on Homecoming right now to have her go over. Especially the way they left things with her and Jordan. But as we all know, they left things on a good terms where it would make sense for her to go do that instead of going to some dance. You know what I mean? It's like, are you kidding me? It's like, did you guys sacrifice her doing the thing we know that character to do just for the sake of you guys doing something and keep prolonging, like, oh, will Damon and Simone get together at this dance? Will they share another kiss or something like that? Like, is that what you guys are trying to do? Like, just trying to, do your story, but in reality, it's like, this would benefit the character Simone's story and her patching things up with Layla. Like, I mean, come on now, you guys set up the connection, follow through with that. I just feel like it's kind of weird that you just, like, that you guys missed this opportunity to make a perfect, put water underneath the bridge officially between Layla and Simone. To have them, them both be there for Jordan. I feel like that would be a perfect opportunity for them to get back together because they care about this one person. But yeah, guys, like I said, that was the video. I hope everybody has a great day, a safe day, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.